What you need to know when selling your house in 2023. Market's changing. You need to be prepared. I'm filming this on July 10th, 2023, and currently we've had 7 weeks of 7% mortgage rate environment. And you have to know that that definitely affects affordability. This happened back in 2022 where the rates got up to 7%. And let me tell you, I still have PTSD over that. I couldn't sell the properties that I had listed, and so I wanted to do this video because we're experiencing something very similar where we've had 7% mortgage rates for over 7 weeks now, and it is having its impact. First thing you should know about this market is that it takes longer than you anticipate. So we've all heard those glory stories of the neighbor's house that sold for multiple offers, all cash, they moved out in 2 days, right? I'm telling you, when you're selling your house, it takes way longer than you expect. Even if you were to get an offer the first day you open escrow, the process in and of itself is very laborious, very inconvenient. And in today's 7% mortgage rate environment, the days on market calculation, meaning how many days it takes to get a property into escrow, is right around 54 days. And realize once you open escrow, after those 54 days, it's another 30, 60 days out. So it's like giving birth to your child. 9 months in the scheme of thing doesn't seem like a long time, but let me tell you, when you're in it, it feels like an eternity. And I'm going to warn you that when you do go put your house on the market, that no matter how quick or how short the time frame is, it always feels way longer than you anticipated. The reason why it feels so long is because you wake up as a homeowner every day and you're being, we'll just say, disrupted. You have people wanting to see the house, you have inspectors showing up, you have open houses, and your house has to look perfect. You're a guest in your own house. And for those of you who are staging your home, you are now selling your house with items in your house that aren't familiar to you. And you just kind of feel like you're in limbo land, like you're not really in your new home, and you kind of feel like you're a visitor in your current home. It's a weird time and it feels like forever. So be prepared for that. In the past, I haven't recommended this to my clients, but I'm now recommending it. I just did a transaction and this worked out beautifully for this last transaction I closed last week. And that is, I'm asking my sellers to complete a home inspection. Market's changing and we'd rather have a quick no rather than a long no, meaning we don't want to be all the way down to 17 days and the buyer say, hey, you know what, I decided I don't like what's on that home inspection report. So I am suggesting and making the recommendation to my sellers to get one done ahead of time. And the reason why that's beneficial is, number one, you're now going to know what things are wrong with your property. You'll have the time to hopefully remedy some of those issues if they're significant. And the third thing is, when we get an offer, we can send over that home inspection with our offer so the buyer can review the home inspection. And if they don't like some things that are on that home inspection, they can say, hey, you know what, we're not interested. And so it's a quick no rather than a longer no. And right now, days on market calculation is a really important statistic to pay attention. It's also psychologically for you, less time for you. Going into escrow and putting your house on the market is a very emotional, time draining experience. If you've been through it, you know what I'm talking about. So let's talk about those home inspections. And this happens, I don't know how many times for some of my sellers. And that is, you're going to have multiple people in your house. Your house is now not your house that you live in. In fact, I had one client, oh my God, I'll never forget this lady. After every time I did an open house or any showing, she made me vacuum and mop the floors and wipe the kitchen down, and like I was her own personal cleaning lady after every single showing. Now that was really like several moons ago, and of course I complied because I'm like, I gotta do what she says. But a forewarning for you if you are selling your house, like your house is gonna get dirty. We open up all the doors so we create this beautiful breeze, and if you're living in your home, you have your own personal smell, which we open all the doors and windows and oftentimes put candles in your property or fragrances to help neutralize some of the smells. But with those open doors and windows creates dust. And when people come into your house, oftentimes they will, bring in some dust off their shoes and dirt and whatnot. And of course you can put booties on, which if you watch some of my previous videos, not going to suggest you do that. There can be trip hazards and you don't want to be liable, but do realize that your house will get dirty. It will. And also when that home inspector or other inspectors come to your property, things will all of a sudden not work. I don't know what it is about these smoke alarms, but as soon as the inspector comes in, they test it the next day, those things are ringing all night long. And my sellers are calling me screaming and yelling that the home inspector screwed up their smoke detectors, and they didn't. Your smoke detectors were probably just low on battery and it set it off. This has happened the last 3 home inspections literally this year. So do realize that there are going to be some things that aren't perfect, and it's just part of the process. Be prepared for it. If you are staging your home, then you don't want to remove those staging items until all contingencies have been removed. So the buyer actually signs off on a formal document that we've done all of our buyers' investigations, we've done all of our home inspections, we're satisfied, so we're signing off, and at this point our earnest money is at risk. You don't do anything. You do not pack, you do not buy anything, you don't rent anything, you don't do anything until you get that full contingency removal. And once again, if you're staging your property, you don't schedule those items to be removed with your stager. Also, this happens all the time, and that is homeowners want to sell their furniture and the buyer has interest in buying some of their furnishings. So we don't have any of those conversations. People get extremely emotional about their furnishings. They don't like the price, or why is the seller being so stingy? So we wait until the full contingency removals are signed off on by the buyer before we start having furniture or any personal item negotiations. Can't tell you how many deals have gone south when people get emotional about their crazy furnishings. So just wait until all contingencies are removed. You're going to thank me later for that tip. So I've got a few questions that I'll answer in this video from a couple of my past videos. And one of the questions was, hey Audra, should I do an open house? I mean, I just think open houses are for the realtor and people are just looky-loos and just the neighbors come in. And I'm going to tell you, the more people you get through your house, the higher probability for success. So I'm a big open house advocate. I'm known for being the open house queen, and it's good marketing for me, I'm not going to lie. But more importantly, in today's digital world, most your buyers are looking at your house online, and if they see that you have an open house and they don't have to bug their realtor who's never available, they would prefer just to go direct and see the house on their time on a weekend, talk to the agent. So I'm always going to recommend an open house, especially the first weekend. Now, I wouldn't do an open house Saturday and Sunday and do it every single day. I mean, if you're doing that and you're not getting any offers that are pleasing to you, then you're probably overpriced. But I'm a huge advocate of open houses. And by the way, your neighbors are not the ones coming into the open house. I'd say on average, I get 1 or 2 neighbors into one of my open houses in one of the communities that I represent. But they don't need to go to your house. They know where you live. They know your address. They just Google your property address. And at least my listings, I have more than enough information online. I got videos, photos, drones, floor plans, etc. So your neighbors are not the main visitors. In fact, one of the hardest things that we face as realtors today is getting people into the house to view the house, right? So we need to have those photos beautiful. So go to all those extra efforts as far as decluttering, neutralizing, and I've done several videos on how to prepare your house for sale, and how to prepare for the photo shoot, which I'll link down below. I also did one on how to pass a good home inspection, so that's always a good one to look at. But understand that the hardest thing is to get those people in the house. So having an open house is just one more, we'll just say, effort to draw more attention and to get more buyers in your house. So that's why it's a good idea to do an open house. If you're about to sell your house, be prepared to fill out seller disclosures. And I am going to really encourage you to fill out those seller disclosures before you even put your house on the market. It's something you should spend a lot of time for. You don't want to, a couple years down the road, have your buyer slap you with a lawsuit saying, hey, you didn't disclose all this information, which you should have. Oftentimes these sellers are under the gun. They get their house in escrow and then their agent says, oh, we got to fill out these disclosures. Oh my gosh, it takes forever to fill out these disclosures, at least in California, and you want to be thorough, over disclose. This last transaction I was in, our disclosures were literally 10 pages long. It was an original homeowner that was there for 30 years, and I encourage them, take the time. Let's make sure we put everything we can possibly imagine. We don't want anything to come back. And the house was super clean, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But my point though is when you open escrow or when you get that offer, it would be a beautiful thing if you could hand over the home inspection, the termite inspection, and all of your seller disclosures. Because when you first open escrow, or when you're in that negotiating phase, that buyer is still in that honeymoon phase. So better to give them not so good information, or hey, this house isn't perfect, but better early on in the process rather than, several days, weeks into it. Get those seller disclosures completed as soon as you can, but take the time to do it. Most homeowners aren't prepared to making recommendations for their title or escrow company. And some of you are like, what are you talking about? Isn't that the real estate agent's responsibility? And the answer is no. You as the seller get to choose the services because the burden of the cost rely on you. I would say most real estate agents will make recommendations about their title and escrow company, but they probably don't really know if it's a good escrow or title. I mean, depends on who you're working with. But do your research. You need to have an escrow company that's certified to the highest standard. They need to have the proper insurances in place. They need to protect against wire fraud. There's been horror stories in the industry, especially since we're seeing a lot of escrow companies start to go sideways right now, that people can't get their money out of these escrow companies because they shut down or they're going sideways. So do your due diligence. I would talk to your real estate agent that you're working with, ask for recommendations of her escrow and title, who they work with, and just make sure you choose wisely. There's a lot of discounted escrow companies out there, and oftentimes in this industry you get what you pay for. I just did a previous video, so I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but price is really key in today's marketplace, and most homeowners aren't prepared for what the market is going to bear. So I always will recommend that you have somebody that really knows the area, that can give you what fair market value is, or get an appraisal done on your property. I always comp that for my clients. That's how much I believe in it, because time is of the essence. The most valuable your house will ever be is the very first day it's on MLS. So you don't want to wait 30 days to do a price reduction. Get really clear on what the market's doing. We know mortgage rates are high. We know inventories are low, but this is not a time to be ambitious with your price and wish upon a star that your price all of a sudden magically appears. Get an appraisal done, or have your real estate agent who's not going to over exaggerate the price so they get the listing. Ask them to be honest with you. I get calls from homeowners in different states and different counties asking me like, hey, Audra, I'm trying to prepare my house and I just don't know what to do. Like, I have a roof that needs to be replaced. Should I just reduce the price and throw it in there as a credit, or should I get it done? And, every county, every area is different, but I don't like throwing good money in a declining market. And I use the word declining market, but it's a matter of time before we start to see, I'd say, prices start to stabilize, if not slightly trend down, with this 7% mortgage rate environment that we're in. We saw it happen in 2022, the last part. Once again, I have PTSD over that period of time. I would hate for you to throw good money into an asset that's possibly stabilizing or going down. So right now, I say put your house on the market, make it look as good as you can, but time is not in your favor. So get it on the market. I would say if a buyer decides to purchase your house and is asking for a credit for that roof, then maybe you consider it. And during this market, it's not just a seller's market, it's a seller and a buyer's market, where both the buyer and the seller have to work together to successfully close a transaction. So if you're selling a house, be prepared that you might give credits where you don't really want to. And buyers, you also have to realize that your sellers are probably not going to come down on price as much as you'd like them to. You have to work together, so be prepared for that. If you're selling your house, be prepared for the repair request. And I know some of you are out there going, no, Audra, we're not doing any repair requests. We live in California. We don't have to. Where is as is? All right, guys. It is customary for a buyer to ask for those repairs. Once again, it's always a good idea to get that home inspection so we don't run into this issue. We'll minimize some of this. But most of the time when you're about to receive that repair request, the homeowner is exhausted, they're cranky, they probably got below what their dream price was. They've had millions of inspectors into their property telling them all the things that are wrong. You got, visitors and buyers coming in saying all the things they don't like about the property, and they're completely inconvenienced. You guys getting this a little bit? Like, it's a lot of work. And they got to keep their house clean, and they got to have a good attitude, and they got to get out of their house, and now they got to fill out all this paperwork, and they got to go here and they got to go there. Okay, and then the repair request is presented, and they get it and they're mad, okay? And they want to just say, forget it. Now, I'm telling you, most of the repair requests that come across my desk are like 0.01% of the cost of the home. And homeowners just get so furious when they get this repair request and they say no. So I'm going to encourage you to do one of two things. Number one, either have it fixed if they're minor issues. I just hate recommending that because I would prefer just a credit. And the reason why I prefer a credit is because if you get a credit, let them get their people in, because as a homeowner, you're not going to get the best contractor and spend the most money on the repair because you're moving on to the next chapter of your life, and the buyer is going to come in at that final walkthrough and not be satisfied with the repair. Okay, so it's a lot of gray area in this repair request. So I recommend just giving a credit. You know, if they do make a repair request, I would have someone come out and just make sure that the credit that they're requesting or the repair they're requesting is in alignment with the cost, meaning that most buyers overestimate what repairs will cost. I'm always going to recommend crediting. I'm going to recommend that you work with your buyer on this repair request. And once again, if you get that home inspection done ahead of time, a lot of this can be avoided. The good news is that after this repair request is negotiated, you're done for the most part. You can usually just sit back and relax, start packing, and all this inconvenience and hassle is over with. Take a deep breath, relax, but be prepared for those first 2 weeks or whatever your contingency period is, because it is very inconvenient and it's a pain in the butt. Be prepared to get your money after you close escrow the day after you close. I can't tell you how many clients I call saying, my money's not in the bank. Okay, so usually what'll happen is your property will close and record, and the very next day your escrow company will reconcile their balance sheets and then wire your money into your account the very next day. But because you're going to be interviewing escrow companies and asking them about their credentials, you're going to also ask them, how soon do I get my money? So your expectation will be set properly. If you're selling your house, be prepared to interview at least 3 real estate agents. Unless you're interviewing me, of course, you can just save all your time. I'm joking, sort of. But, you know, you need to interview 3 real estate agents. Don't just go with your, son's soccer coach or a friend of yours. Like, really do your research. It blows my mind. Like, we go buy a TV, or if we're looking to get our windows washed, we go review, like find out what other people's experience was with that product or that service. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same, because it is that important in this market shift that we're having, that you hire somebody that knows what they're doing. And it's really important in this digital age to find a real estate agent that is properly marketing your property online. And if they're not doing that, they're going to be doing you a disservice, and all the work and all the hassle, everything that you're going through is only going to be even more exasperated if you don't have that right agent that can really serve you the way that they should. So go Google them. I recommend Google's reviews rather than some of those other real estate sites, only because there's been, we'll just say, rumblings about people being able to buy reviews, and that's a whole other thing, right? So I'm a Google girl, so go look at me on Google, go look at other people. And when you're interviewing those real estate agents, ask them if they have references, and actually call those references, right? If they're giving you wrong references, then you kind of have to ask yourself, well, are they ethical? But I did do a video on how to interview a real estate agent. I'll link that down below too. But if you do all these things, you're going to be properly prepared for selling your house, I promise. Okay, that was a lot. Thanks for hanging in there. If you got any benefit out of this video, please smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Best of luck to you.